Hey everyone, my name is Sam. Thanks for checking out this video. If you get to the end and liked it, then subscribe, bell notification, give the video a thumbs up. I can't leave well enough alone, so I moved furniture out of my room again. So we're facing this side of my room today. Actually, I don't think I normally have these bookcases, so maybe that's a nice thing for once in a while. And life update, my glasses frames broke this week, and I had to run to Costco and find myself a cheap pair. And I found these, which I describe as librarian meets grandpa. April haul was a bad month for me. I mean, great for building a collection, bad month for saving money. And because I feel like I just let myself get away with it, I'm gonna start including my digital purchases. I don't buy ebooks, but I buy audiobooks a ton. I use what my library has as well, and I borrow from Scribd. But I also have a subscription to Audible and Libro, and then I also follow Chirp deals. So I feel like I've been letting myself get away with the fact of spending money. It's not like it doesn't cost me money. I just don't have the physical editions, but for some reason I'm like, that doesn't count. Talking about the books that I managed to accumulate in the month of April. I don't know that no, I shouldn't say I didn't impulse buy, because I did place two orders that I definitely didn't need to. But you know, I'm gonna read all these. These are ones that I'm definitely really interested in reading, so at least I have moved away when I do impulse buying from buying books that I'm like, eh, fuck it, even if I don't read it. So starting off, I got myself a copy of The Infinity Court by Akemi Dawn Bowman. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. I'm very excited about this. This was a planned purchase. It was pre-ordered. It's matte. It's like the Love Boat Taipei, if you have a copy of that. It's very similar texture to that, and I don't know how they made the moon reflective-y and glowy, because it's all the same to touch everywhere. It's beautiful though. It's gorgeous. Nothing is lifted. The text is slightly pushed in, debossed or whatever it is, but it's so freaking pretty. It's the Dark Mirrors meets an AI Warcross, something like that. And then the underdust jacket has this purpley pinky foiled emblem on the front and then the side as well. This is YA sci-fi. Then I picked up a copy of Poison Priestess. I think this is another one that I had pre-ordered by Lana Popovic. This is set in the same world as Blood Countess. So Blood Countess is the Lady Dracula story. I'm so excited to read this. They're both quite deceptively short. But we've got someone poisoning shit at the French court in this one. The end pages are black. We've got this gorgeous purple, and then the underdust jacket is purple with I don't want to say human skin, because that's not right, but it's you can see that there's crinkling and everything on the hardcover, and then Poison Priestess in silver, and then the spine. So it matches the first book. I was concerned that they would maybe cheap out on this one, because I don't think the first book sold insanely well, but Amulet normally does relatively nice stuff, at least in the North American copies, so I am very excited. Everything else is plain flat to it, and we're gonna kill some people at the French court, and hopefully I'll read this summer. And because I am a librarian, Libro has a program where librarians get a catalog once a month for audiobooks that they can get. They have the month to claim them, and then you can read them when you want. So this month was a really, really amazing selection of books. So I grabbed several of them, and I'll just make sure to read them off here. I got The Widow Queen, which I have been interested in this since for about 2 or 3 months now. It got mentioned in a workbook recommendations webinar that I had with a publisher, because it was for fans of The Witcher, because it was originally a book written in Polish, I believe it is, that is being translated the same kind of path that The Witcher took. So it's supposed to be really dark adult fantasy. I'm very excited to read that soon. I also got the Key to You and Me. I'm not a big consumer of YA contemporary romances, but it looks really cute and fun, and I do have to read a little bit of it, at least, because I do purchase for our library, so I want to read once in a while, pop into the genre, see if it fits for what we're building in our collection, and then add it. Even if I don't like it, doesn't mean that someone else isn't gonna like it. The Plot. This was another one. Hadn't heard of it until it was mentioned in a book recommendation series by a publisher, but it was originally blurred, but I think it comes out in August? No, June? Something like that. It's relative. It's before the fall. A professor, I think it is, gets offered a student's manuscript that is really, really good for input, and I guess the author is a bit of washed up or hasn't found success in publishing or something like that, and then the student dies, I think it is, and then he takes the manuscript that the student gave him and puts it on, or she, I don't know, the teacher, takes the manuscript and presents presents it as their own, and then someone starts sending them letters being like, I know this isn't your work. I also got Madam. I really picked up a lot of adult ones, and this one, I know it doesn't have tons of great reviews. I've been interested in this book though since like, I don't know, sometime mid last year when the cover reveals came up for it. It just looks like a thriller. I'd be interested. And honestly, thrillers and that sort of stuff that have like lower reviews, I don't really always agree with them. I feel like people are kind of snooty in that genre. I've read so many thrillers where people are like, oh, it's so shit. It's like 2 stars. And I'm like, this is an amazing book. I loved it. So I don't know what you're looking for in your thrillers. So don't care so much about the ratings on this one. I'm just interested. It sounds a little bit like, was it Handmaid's Tale-esque, a bit pitched all over the place? I also grabbed Troy. I don't think I've managed to read anything from Stephen Fry that he has put out somehow. I know his... Which one is it? Is it the Greek Heroes one? It's like super uber popular. Victory's Greater Than Dead. Honestly, I picked this up because there's so much purple on the cover. It's a YA sci-fi. That's really all I know about it going into it, but I'm going to be picking it up in, I think it's June I have it slated down, because I believe it has LGBTQ plus rep in it. I'm not sure in what capacity, but I'm fairly certain that's where I slated it in. And Liberté, I honestly I think this is a historical fiction. I think this was just like in a lot of like book of the month box, and like I kind of saw the cover all over the place, and then someone bought a copy for our library's digital catalog, and it immediately had like 6 months worth of holds on it. So I was like, okay, like people are excited about this book. Maybe I should grab it and see what they think of it, or what everyone's so excited about, especially if there's that many people placing holds for it at our library, that we need to find more books that have something like this on it. I also grabbed Written in the Stars on Libro. I believe it was on sale. I can't remember. It was probably like under $5. I have the physical copy of this, so I just figured this is a great way to grab the audiobook for cheap. It is a contemporary romance. I believe it's female romance. The author has a new book coming out, I think in 2020. I think it's in the same series. It is a Jane Austen retelling, if I remember correctly. So adult romances, contemporary romances seem to be totally fine. I don't know if maybe it's like the high school setting, or just like, I don't know. There's just something when as soon as you make it YA that I'm like, meh. So I hope to be reading this. I think I also slated this one for June because, again, female romance. I also grabbed Fearless by, is it Mandy Gonzalez? I think she's one of the actors from Hamilton. I'm reading this in middle grade May. Hopefully I like it. I just know it's a middle grade book. That's literally all I know going into it. That's it. It's got a cute cover. The little girl, again, giving me kind of Precious Moment vibes on the cover. It just looks really cute. I got really lucky because our catalog also offered the audiobook for Witches Steeped in Gold, so I also grabbed the audiobook, and I bought the physical book later on in the month of April. I am so beyond excited to read this. It's Jamaican YA fantasy, and we get witchcraft. I'm just kind of surprised they didn't do anything on the end pages or the under dust jacket. It seems overly simple. I was expecting maybe some of the this like gold outline or something on the under dust jacket. It just seems very plain considering how gorgeous the actual cover design is. It just seems like they maybe I don't know, forgot, or I don't know. That was just a little disappointing because it's gorgeous cover. Maybe I've been spoiled by books like Ray Bear where you open it and the under dust jacket is just like, ah, it's right there. But this is just kind of underwhelming on the under dust jacket design, but very excited to read the content itself. Everyone seems to be really, really enjoying it. It's a thick one too, so I am very excited. I have the audiobook too, so I have no excuse not to read it in the next few months. I grabbed Island Queen audiobook as well from Libro's program. It's Vanessa Riley. I actually hadn't read anything from Vanessa Riley when I actually grabbed this. I have since read The Duke, the Lady, and the Baby. I didn't love that book, but it was just more the plot than anything else. I just didn't like that so much. Actually, I shouldn't say I didn't hate it. It was okay. It was in the middle, right? But Island Queen, I'm just so excited about it. I think, honestly, I figured out why. I think it's the cover. Genuinely, I don't know why. I just really like the cover. I also grabbed an audio copy of To Love and to Loathe off of Libro. It's the same platform I have To Have It to Hoax on, so just makes sense to grab that. And I already have a physical copy of it. I bought it last month because it came out early in my bookstore, and I'm very excited. I love To Have It to Hoax. I grabbed the audiobook of A Duke, a Lady, and a Baby by Vanessa Riley. I did read it pretty quickly after it was on sale on Chirp. I think it was like $2.99, so I grabbed that. I also grabbed the audiobook for Rule of Wolves because I just have all of Leigh Bardugo's books, and at this point it seems ridiculous to not buy the whole series of the Grisha. It was like the only one I didn't have. King of Scars went on sale for like $5 sometime last year, so I grabbed that, and I've read them since, so. But yeah, I bought the physical, or I bought the e-audiobook of that, so now I have that whole series on audiobook as well. They also had a $5 sale on Audible for a bunch of series, so I grabbed a couple things to round up my whole collection. I grabbed the audio for Lifelike by Jay Kristoff, Vow of Thieves by Mary Pearson, because I think I have the 2 other books for Lifelike. I don't know how I ended up with books 2 or 3 when I didn't have book 1, but I definitely didn't have book 1. And then And then Vow of Thieves is the sequel to Dance of Thieves, which I already had. So again, just rounding that up, I already own the physical copy of it, as well as the audio for the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic. I have the Poppy War series physically anyways. I think I read the audiobooks through my library the first time around, so now I just have them. And I also grabbed the audiobooks for Exile by Shannon Messenger because I plan on reading that through the whole Keeper of the Lost City series. First 4 books I'm doing in May. And then I also grabbed the audiobook for the Gilded Ones because I was going to read along with the audiobook through my library because I was like, I know I bought it. And then I went to look and there was a 6-month hold for the Gilded Ones. And I'm confused because YA books don't generally do that in our system unless they're like Reese Witherspoon's book. And it wasn't. But people were really excited to read it, so I ended up just grabbing the audiobook to read along. Oh, there's the Watson snore. It's not a video if Watson isn't snoring. Okay, this was like kind of like high-key an accident. I went on Book Outlet for work because we are buying books for Take a Book, Leave a Book collection, so when I find sales and codes and whatever, we go buy them, and if they have Indigenous authors on there, great, and that's when I do that. And I somehow got distracted and ended up placing an order for myself. So, I got a paperback copy of The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. I have already read this. I have the physical hardcover of Ivy Aberdeen, which is one of the best middle grade books I have ever read in my life. And this is it's not necessarily a series, but like this kind of realm of middle grades. You can see the cover similarities, but they're middle grade contemporaries of queer kids figuring themselves out. And then I picked up the Last Uncharted Sky. This is honestly what made me place the order. So in Canada, I don't know what Tor Publishing is doing drug-wise, but the pricing of their books in Canada is just like, I don't know what the thought process is here. This is a YA fantasy, okay? It's hardcover. There's the end pages, there's nothing special. It's not like an anniversary edition or anything like that. This is not a best-selling series. This is not like a big, giant author that's hit New York Times bestsellers. No shade to Curtis Craddock, because I love this series. Someone explain to me how they are charging $43.50 for a YA book in Canada. Also, if y'all want to sell more books, try not charging $43.50 for a single one. Homie, I don't know that there's a single author that I would pay $43.50 for a book on. I also grabbed a copy of Hunted by the Sky by Tanaz Bethina. I'm so sorry, I'm not saying that right. I didn't recognize the name, which I'm kind of surprised because I saw the other book that she had, A Girl Like That, freaking everywhere. It just didn't connect to me. I don't think I've ever actually read that one either. But I was curious about this one, and I didn't recognize the author's name, and then I saw it somewhere in a poster that was Canadian authors, and I was like, wait, what? And looked, yeah, she's a Canadian author. So I grabbed that. It's the YA fantasy. I believe it's supposed to be Indian-inspired. A girl has spent her life running. She has a star-shaped birthmark on her arm, and in the kingdom of Umbar, girls of such birthmarks have been disappearing for years. Gull's mark is what caused her parents' murder at the hand of the king's ruthless soldiers and forced her into hiding to protect her life. So when a group of rebel women called the Sisters of the Golden Lotus rescue her, take her in, and train her in warrior magic, the Gull wants only one thing: revenge. It's supposed to be a duology. The second book is coming out relatively soon, I think. So I'm going to try and get this one done this summer. And I think it's got like a desert-inspired setting, if I remember correctly from what I was looking at online. I'm going to try and read that in the summer. That always helps with like immersing yourself. That's why I like The Tiger at Midnight. I think I read that in the summer the first time, and it's just like gives you that vibes when it's hot. Well, hot for northern Alberta, but you know. So anyways, grab this. End pages are bright pink, and then under dust jacket is plain black, but there is like a star. This thing that you see on her arm on the front is here, and then the spine is a pinky purple. Then I grabbed a copy of As the Shadow Rises by Katie Rose Poole. This is another one. It's not $43.50, but I think these ones are like $28, $29 or something like that. When they first, at least the first book was. Bright red under dust jacket, silver spine, and pages are a beautiful map. So I saw this on Book Outlet, and it got me over the price point to get free shipping, and then I got it, and this is a little bit. That's okay. It's not my most favorite series in the world, but I really liked book 1. I know not everyone did, and I got this, and book 3 comes out later this year, I think it is. So I'm going to get the 3rd book and I think just binge them all because I've read book 1. I like book 1. I'll finish the series. I found Jade War by Fonda Lee in my bookstore. I still have not seen a paperback copy of Jade City in my bookstore. Don't know why they had book 1 or book 2 and not book 1. Either way, I have read book 1. I have the audiobook of it. I am hoping to get it maybe for my birthday in May. Either gifted or buying it myself, whatever the case may be. Jade War is the 2nd book. It's the Green Bone Saga. If you liked These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, I'd suggest giving this series a shot. It's like a grown-up version of it with just without the Shakespeare kind of input, you know? So Fonda Lee is also a Canadian-born Asian author. I think she lives in the States now, but that was another thing that I found out was she's Canadian. And I was like, shit, gotta support it. So I grabbed book 2. Book 1 was fantastic. It was such a good book, so I'm excited to read this one. Just hopefully read this before we get snow again here is kind of my guesstimate. And I think book 3, which is supposed to be the last book in the trilogy, comes out in December, I believe, right now. So I'll be ready for that. I also grabbed a copy of Twice Shy by Sarah Hogle. I honestly haven't read the summary of this. I just know that I really, 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 really loved her debut work, You Deserve Each Other. I've read that a couple times. It's like a game of chicken between an engaged couple on who's going to call off their wedding because they hate each other. And there's like this whole scene that reminded me of like the Gilmore Girls, and if you had like a mother-in-law like Emily Gilmore when she's not being a good like badass bitch, when she's just being a bitch in the show. So I am excited to read what the author has new now, and hopefully keep following, because again, adult romances seem to really like them. YA ones, okay, I actually forgot to write this down in my list thing, in my book thing, but I'm fairly certain I got these in the month of April, so if this made it into the video, I double checked and it did. I got my foreign editions of the Nevermoor series. They came into stock finally. I grabbed them and then they very quickly went out of stock, so I panicked and thought, oh no, did they accidentally go to pull them and see that they didn't have them? But they did. These are, I believe it's the Swedish... Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the Swedish editions of the Nevermoor series. So I got all 3 of the books now. I'm just missing the Thai ones, which I can't seem to find an English website anywhere. Or the one I did find wanted to charge $100 Canadian for shipping of 2 paperback books. And I went, what? So I'm trying to figure something out. But these are the Swedish covers. I think these are also same as the French language covers. So this is Nevermoor. They're all paperback or hardcover printed onto the thing. Then you have Wondersmith, and it's a little bit more grown-up version of Morrigan. And then Hollowpox. So it's... I'm just so happy I have more of them now. Yeah, I think the Thai ones are the only ones that I'm missing, that I know of at least, that have a different kind of cover than the other ones. There's a few variations on like the UK covers when they print between hardcover and paperback. I don't care so much about that as much as like the ones that are like completely different like renditions of each other. I grabbed a copy of The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I was honestly interested in this when they were blurbing it everywhere. And I was like, yeah, but like, you know, you're not reading adult romances right now, but honestly I am kind of craving to substitute these into my TBR as I feel. And then I bought the copy because I figured for our libraries it'd be a good one. It's also got Jewish rep in it, which is great. And I haven't read anything by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I think she predominantly does YA contemporary stuff, so it never really I'm never the target audience of that so much. But this, again, bought the audiobook for our libraries and like immediately 6-month holds on it, and I went, 'tis a sign. And then I went to my bookstore, actually had copies in stock, so I was like, shit, I have to buy it. So I grabbed it. I'm hoping to read this summer. I am on hold for the audiobook through my library and hopefully want to read along. And someone I follow on TikTok, her name's Sarah Jenkins, not Jenkins. Sarah Jenkins an author? No, I don't know. She's a TikToker. She's based in Toronto. And she's just has like, she works for CBC and she's finally getting into, not finally, she's getting into reading during the pandemic lockdown and everything. And this is one that she talked about really enjoying too. So I was like, that's your sign. You need to just buy it. So I bought it. I also grabbed a copy of In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. This is one that was my most anticipated of the year. It is supposed to be gay pirates. That's kind of all I remember from when it originally got the cover reveal. Gorgeous cover. Gorgeous. Like the watercolor ombre rainbowness of the background. Oh, beautiful design. And it kind of continues all the way around. It's a tall book. It's very thin though. I was kind of surprised at how short it does appear to be, but I'm just so excited about this. That's beautiful. Beautiful cover. And end pages, sorry, there's nothing on the end pages. The under dash jacket is like a soft yellow and then a purpley indigo blue spine with gold oranginess foiled there. I'm very excited to read this. It's going to be in my June TBR. I also grabbed these Feathered Flames. I wasn't sure if I was going to buy this one. Because it's YA fantasies and those haven't been totally working for me every month or so now. But I got to the bookstore, they had it in stock, and I ended up buying it somehow. I don't know. I just black out when I go to the bookstore at this point, it seems. But it's pitched kind of everywhere as like Russian folklore retelling, and for fans of like Shadow and Bone and The Bear and the Nightingale. All that stuff is stuff I'm interested in. If you don't know, when I did my undergrad in history, took every Russian history course that my school had to offer, and that was the path that I, took, was just, I find Russia fascinating. I don't know why we grew up with the stereotype of like, Russian history is so boring. Y'all, it's batshit crazy. There was a point where like 5 people were claiming to be the same heir to the throne, and people started trying to kill each other, and then finally figuring out why you kept getting redirected in library catalogs for Russian history books to a book called History of the Ukraine. I didn't understand that for like years, and then I took history courses and was like, oh, and then finding out why they're like Ivan the Terrible and Ivan the Great, and like how they just swing back and forth between Tsars and the Grand Princes and all the Mongol occupation. It's wildly interesting. I don't know why we have some stereotype that it's boring. It's confusing sometimes because there's like 40 million people named Ivan all at once, but still interesting. I mean, literally look up False Dimitri. Someone literally like accidentally died as a kid because the guy who was his guardian, his dad had died. He was like the heir to the Grand Princedom or whatever it was, and his guardian who was supervising him said he had a seizure and he fell on a sword and killed himself that way. And wouldn't you know that guardian ended up getting to take over Grand Princedom? Like, if that doesn't set off a million red flags, Russia's like a giant soap opera, okay? So I'm just always interested in the retellings of them. I know they're a hot mess of a country right now under their dictator, but I just find the folklore and everything, because they are such a highly superstitious country, and they do have such a weird difference between cities and like the rural communities and the poverty differences, and like it's just such a weird, interesting country. So I'm always so interested by stuff that takes that on. And honestly, Shadow and Bone came out, so my brain is all Shadow and Bone Grisha, so probably a great time for me to try and read this the next couple months. And it's a debut work, which is great. Nothing on the end pages. Under dash jacket is an orange, and then the spine is like a tealy green, which I thought was an interesting color choice. I don't know if they'll show up super well, considering I don't see that color anywhere on the actual cover. But either way, very interested, very curious about this. Hopefully I love it. Haven't heard a damn thing about it. Because I have no self-control, I somehow ended up ordering more stuff off Book Outlet this month. I grabbed books 1 and 2. I have been watching for these books at my own bookstore for several years. I really want to read them. I'm on hold through the library for the audiobooks. And I saw that they had this series, both in paperback. So I grabbed them. They are adult fantasies. They're on the pricier side in Canada as well. I think they were like $45 or something like that. And I was like, they're very pretty covers, but I don't know this author. I don't know anything. That feels like a hefty price tag to do. So they went on both format on sale off Book Outlet, so I grabbed them. A Conspiracy of Truths and Acquire of Lies by Alexandra Rowland. I think this is again another like Russian-y folklore. I think it's someone's supposed to be like telling a story or something like that through the books or something like that. I don't know, it just sounded pretty cool, and I've been keeping my eye on them, and I found in the same order I grabbed all 3 of these babies. I think I actually figured out afterwards the order of them. I don't know when, but I do have the audiobook already of The Sea Queen on, I think, Libro. It went on sale or something like that a couple months ago and I grabbed it. It's book 2 in the series though. But I have been watching this and I lunged when I saw the sale on it because I've been super curious about this. Someone recommended this to me when I first started watching, what was it called? Not Vikings. But someone recommended this to me. It's a Scandinavian historical fantasy or so. And then someone else mentioned it to me when I told them about Sweet Black Waves, that I had finished that because I finished that series and I was telling them about it and they're like, hey, you maybe want to try this series if you liked that. So this is the Halfdrowned King by Linnea Hartsucker. This is book 1. Book 2 is The Sea Queen. I feel like a lot of people have seen this cover specifically. I don't know why book 2 was everywhere. And then book 3 is The Golden Wolf. And I think this is the end of I think it's a trilogy. So I have them all in matching hardcovers. We're almost done, I promise. I grabbed book 2, 3, and 4 of the Nine Realms series. I already have book 1, A Queen in Hiding. She's over there, just out of camera angle. That's book 1, and these are the rest of the series. I like this concept that the publisher took. I think it's Tor as well. I know I just shit on them a few minutes ago. But they released like the whole series basically within the span of a year. I think it was like every quarter they had one of the books come out. I wish they would do that more often. But yeah, so 2 is the Queen of Raiders. Book 3 is A Broken Queen, and then book 4 is the Cerulean Queen. I also got excited because this has the word cerulean in it. When I think of cerulean, I think of House in the Cerulean Sea, which is one of my most favorite books in the world. So, and lastly, I waited all month for this baby to show up because it didn't come out in Canada. I had to get the US copy from Waterstone, or the UK copy from Waterstone. I got The Way of the Argosy by Sebastian de Castell. I think it came out the end of April. I had it pre-ordered. As soon as the cover got revealed, I lost my shit when they announced it. This is a prequel to the Spellslinger series, which, if you need help remembering, they're amazing and wonderful. These are the UK copies because the North American editions are basic bitches. And I'm so happy. It basically looks like the exact same red of the Spellslinger book, which is the prequel, so it will go in front of it on my bookshelf, so it should match. Look at that. Rocket science for publishers, it seems. End pages are black, under dust jacket is black, and then we have the red. Again, this all matches the same template of the rest of the hardcovers. So I definitely overspent a little bit in the month of April. So May is going to be, I think will be a little bit better because I put stuff on my birthday list, so I want to wait and see if what people are gifting me, if they gift me anything. So I was like, probably shouldn't buy anything that you give them on a list. I will, oh my god, link these books. No, I won't. I'll put them all on my own shelf, and you can go on my Goodreads and look at the own shelf. Because that's just not happening. Yeah. Those are the books I managed to accumulate in the month of April. Let me know what you managed to accumulate, if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts were, if I convinced you to buy any of these books. I love hearing how I enable people. That's just like a sweet spot for me for some reason. It's psychopathic. But yeah. I'll leave all my socials in the description down below. If you follow me, I'll follow you back unless you have a super sketchy account. And I'll see y'all next week with, this next week probably gonna be a wrap up for the month of April reading.